immigration is wrong.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
What we need to do simultaneously, secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places.
If making it easy to be an illegal alien isn't enough, how about offering a reward for being an illegal immigrant? No sane country would do that.
I think we should enforce our borders. To have a situation where 40% of the babies born on Medicaid in California today are born of illegal immigrants creates a very real problem for the state. I think
Here's what I'll do. Number one, the borders are more leaking today than they were before 9/11. The fact is we haven't done what we need to do to toughen up our borders, and I will.
We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country.
What exactly has changed since then? And what's the reason behind the 180-degree turnaround from these Democratic leaders? Well, we're about to dive in, and I am going to show you exactly why we have seen this about-face from these Democratic leaders. And this is a video that you are going to want to share. I'll show you all the evidence, so let's jump straight into it. What's up, everybody? Carlton Flowers here with the Go Political channel. Greetings and happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. And we are going to continue the discussion from the last video about illegal immigration. And if you're as confused as I am about what you saw in that intro, well, there's more. So today we're going to talk about what has happened with this big change with the Democratic Party, with their attitude and policies on illegal immigration. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I've been scratching my head trying to figure out why we've seen such a big about face. And I think I found out the reason why, and I will show you the evidence. But before we jump into some rather shocking video footage that shows quite a contrast, let's look at some more clips from the past of Democratic leaders and their attitudes about illegal immigration. Let's cut to the clip.
Why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
So I think we got to have tough conditions, tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked, they're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security. Felons, not families. Criminals, not children. Gang members, not a mom who's working hard to provide for her kids. We'll prioritize, just like law enforcement does every day.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
What we need to do simultaneously, secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places, and we need to have tougher employer sanctions, and we need to try to incentivize Mexico to do more, and we need to create the environment in which we get people out of the shadows and then give them some earned right to legalization that will enable them to continue to work. If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported. But that won't stop it unless Mexico and their neighbors to the south actually let these hard-working people have a future in their own countries.
What? Can you believe what you just heard? Holding illegals to the letter of the law? Was that President Barack Obama saying that we should deport illegal immigrants and that they pose a threat to national security? And Hillary Clinton saying that we need to secure our borders? That's amazing. And now fast forward to today, and this same Democratic Party is fighting for illegal immigrants who even break the law. Let's cut to the next clip, and you know about this, Delaney Hall. Let's look and see how much they have changed since then. Was that crazy or what? Here you've got a congressional representative, a U.S. congresswoman, and a mayor of Newark, New Jersey, and a bunch of protesters raising hell because they want government oversight to check on illegal immigrants who are arrested and detained on charges of armed robbery, burglary, RAPE, human trafficking, drugs, you name it. But they're fighting to make sure that they're safe. And then after the fact, once they did gain access to check on these poor illegal immigrants who have broken the law, they said, oh, everything's fine. Nothing bad is going on in this facility. It just doesn't make any sense. And now we'll jump to the next clip and we'll see what our top Democratic leaders are doing, flying to other countries to protect and check on someone who was a known member of one of the worst criminal cartels, one of the worst gangs in the world. Let's cut to the next clip.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia shirt and a Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl hat. Across the table, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, who posted the image to the X platform. He flew to El Salvador yesterday to attempt to check on the welfare of Abrego Garcia, who is his constituent, and to talk with local officials, but was initially told no. El Salvador's president posted additional images with the words, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, both in quotation marks. The development, images that show the 29-year-old father is alive, come as a federal appeals court rejected the Trump administration's request to pause a Maryland federal judge's order that it facilitate Abrego Garcia's return from El Salvador. In the strongest terms, the unanimous opinion said this case should be shocking to all Americans and urged the White House to recognize U.S. courts' designated role in the balance of power. This case presents their unique chance to vindicate that value and to summon the best that is within us while there is still time.
So this case presents a chance to vindicate what value exactly? What value is it? Now think about the values that you saw in the beginning in the compilation and compare that to today. What is going on? How do we change from stopping illegal immigration, that's our value, to protect American citizens, to guarding and protecting illegal immigrants that are known criminals and members of gangs? That's amazing. But it gets even better. Of course, we've got the Wisconsin judge protecting an illegal immigrant who not only is a lawbreaker, but is abusing his own wife, escorting him out of the back door of the courthouse. Let's just check that video out real quick.
Federal prosecutors claim, quote, despite having been advised of the administrative warrant for the arrest of Flores Ruiz, Judge Dugan escorted Flores Ruiz and his counsel out of the, quote, jury door not open to the public. In the video, it appears one federal agent hangs back in the hallway and followed Flores Ruiz onto an elevator.
All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What's the reason for all of this madness? Why do we have a judge helping an illegal immigrant lawbreaker to avoid ICE deportation? What is going on? Well, the reason is plain and simple. It's done for votes. That's right, votes. Bring in all these illegal immigrants so that you can front load the Democratic Party's ability to cram the ballot box and win the election. Why? Well, it's because they viewed Donald J. Trump as a threat to democracy. They were so afraid of him getting back into office again, they decided to pull out all the stops, and do whatever is necessary to stuff the ballot box and stop him from getting back into office. And if it meant abandoning all the values of the past, well, by God, they were going to do it. And if you don't believe that, well, let's show you this first clip about what went on in the state of California.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a bill into law prohibiting all local government in the state from requiring voters to show any ID of any kind. He's literally prohibiting it because apparently, at least according to the state's attorney general, doing so flies in the face of the principles of free elections. But why? Look, you can say that you don't think they should be mandated. I happen to think voter ID makes a lot of sense. There are only 14 states, I think, in the country that do not require voter ID. But look, there's at least a legitimate argument. But outlawing asking for ID? The bill's a response to Huntington Beach, where residents in the city of around 200,000 passed a ballot measure to allow ID requirements in municipal elections starting in 2026. So not even this year's election, all right? And the Attorney General and the Secretary of State sued the city over it. Huntington Beach has not yet responded to the complaint, but in the meantime, Democratic state senator introduced this bill. Newsom signed it. The bill says, now it's a law, a local government shall not enact or enforce any charter provision, and that'll be relevant in a moment, ordinance or regulation requiring a person to present identification for the purposes of voting or submitting a ballot at any polling place, vote center, or other location where ballots are cast or submitted unless required by state or federal law. Meaning, for now, it's a total ban on asking for voter IDs, preventing a local government from enacting rules that were approved by the voters in the city.
Pretty slick, huh? The state with probably the highest population of illegal immigrants passes a law banning requiring any form of ID in order to vote. I wouldn't believe it if I did not see it on the news, but there it is, plain as day. So we do know that over 1 million illegal immigrants were caught voting in the 2024 election. But what's even more shocking, this was Joe Biden's plan all along. He was talking about flooding the border years ago. Don't believe me? Check this clip out.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
Well, there you go. He said it right there during the 2020 election debates. And not only did he plan on surging the border, he further talks about his plan to make all those illegals that he surges through the border into citizens. Why? So they can vote. Don't believe it? Check out this next clip.
Why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship.
Well, there it is, guys. You heard it. Yeah, it was his plan all along. Take the 11 million illegals already in this country and fast track them to citizenship so that they can vote. And who do you think that they would vote for? Well, of course, the Democratic Party. And then after he got into office, he brings in another 20 million illegal immigrants. Why? For votes. So now we're sitting on somewhere around 30 million illegal immigrants that have been brought into this country so that they can fast track them to citizenship, pay them to get here, pay them to stay here, give them food, clothing, shelter, let them break whatever laws they want so that they can vote. And what you end up with is our country turning into a one-party state because the Democrats would be able to flip every border state. Every one of the border states would be turned into a blue state. Swing states, rather. The states that border between Democrat and Republican. So if you could flip all the swing states, you control the country forever. I mean, 30 million people. That's more than the black population in the United States. So you would change the fabric of this entire nation. And now, what do we hear? Well, nobody's above the law, and we need due process for all of these illegals. But where was the due process when President Biden broke the law allowing all 20 million illegal immigrants to surge across that border? And now they say, well, hey, it'll cost too much to send them out. But we didn't worry about that when we paid for them to come. Let's check this next clip from CNN, where we hear a person being interviewed talking about how much this has cost us. And not only that, how we were willing to pay billions just to provide care for all these illegal immigrants. Cut to the clip.
Well, I actually had a meeting with Tom Homan the other day, along with a number of my colleagues, and we talked about this very issue. Look, it's already costing states like New York billions of dollars of taxpayer money to provide free housing, clothing, food, education, and health care to illegal immigrants. Then you have the situation where you have criminal aliens committing violent crimes, just as we saw a woman being burned alive on a subway by a man who was previously deported and then came back into the United States illegally. The fact is that what Tom Homan is going to do is start the process of deporting criminal aliens out of the United States. And sanctuary states and cities like New York need to cooperate. This idea that you're going to violate federal immigration law, that you're going to use taxpayer money to provide all of these free things. By the way, while Kathy Hochul in New York is charging New Yorkers $2,500 just for the privilege of driving to work in Midtown Manhattan. It's a joke. This is the stuff that needs to stop. So yes, there is a price tag. Yes, it's going to cost money. But the reality is we cannot continue to have this massive influx of illegal immigrants coming into the country. Since Joe Biden took office, over 10.5 million people. That's unsustainable, and it's costing us billions of dollars.
Boy, the look on Abby's face was priceless there. She didn't want to hear about the billions of dollars that we have spent as taxpayers to fund this surge of illegal immigration. But the question is, how do you talk the masses into paying for this and accepting that, yeah, we're going to foot the bill for billions of dollars to fund the illegal immigration invasion? Well, it's easy. It's a psyop. Brainwashing. And how do they go about carrying out that plan to brainwash the U.S. population? Simple. Through the media. Let's cut to a clip and show you an example of how all of the news media works in conjunction with some very nefarious individuals behind the scenes to brainwash you by repeating the same message over and over on every single news outlet. Cut to the clip.
Speaking of brainwashing the people properly, here's another supercut by Western Lensman that he puts together of them all reading from the same script. We've seen this before. I'm going to show you a number of examples of this, but here's the latest script.
We begin tonight with the escalation in the president's crackdown on illegal immigration.
Today's dramatic escalation in the Trump administration's...
Where do they all get the same script from? This time it's dramatic escalation. Escalation is the script.
conflict with judges.
The Trump administration signaling a major escalation in its deportation efforts.
Today, an escalation in the Trump administration's battle with the judiciary.
Tensions between local and federal authorities over President Trump's immigration crackdown escalated today.
We began this hour with a major escalation of the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration.
We begin with what appears to be a major escalation in the Trump administration's deportation efforts, and what is a major escalation in the battle here in D.C. over immigration and deportation.
This feels like an insane and reckless escalation from the Trump administration arresting a judge. I will tell you, you are not alone.
Is a dramatic escalation.
More aggressive moves, more escalation.
Trump's escalation of his migrant purge.
This kind of escalatory action.
This is a dramatic escalation.
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 We see an immigration, an escalation.
These are completely different media companies. Whether if it's ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, they all are reading the same dialogue. They're using the same word. So that's the word of the week. Escalation. Who wrote it? Who gave them the commanding order to say, guys, we're doing escalation this week? I don't know how that works. I only know that it's not the first time.
Pretty wild, huh? That is just mind-blowing. So that's the psyop. That's the brainwashing that the media provided so they could talk you into accepting wasting billions of dollars on illegals. And that's not the only one. There were several. Of course, I had mentioned before, the Democrats started with the new little tagline or slogan, "No one is above the law." So that turned into the next psyop. Let's check that one out. Cut to the clip.
No one is above the law.
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 Except Democrats and 30 million illegal immigrants. So they can yell in your face about no one is above the law while they break the law for the 30 million. Now, can we as citizens get away with driving without a license or insurance or a registration? No, we get pulled over and put in jail. And as I mentioned on the last video, illegal immigrants are allowed to drive without a license, can be pulled over with no insurance, and have a van load of people that are being human trafficked, yet they don't want to arrest them and hold them to the letter of the law. These people are hypocrites. So what is my conclusion about this? Well, here it is. They never believed in those values from the jump. That's how they were able to do an about face and completely flip. So the only reason why they were talking so tough about illegal immigration in the past is because That's what they knew that the voting American public wanted to hear. And it's what got them into office. So now that Donald Trump is in office, they're doing whatever they can to try to regain that power. And if it means abandoning the values that the party has had for decades, well, by God, that's what they're going to do. And their attitude is just rotten. They use people. So they want to use the 30 million illegal immigrants to gain power. And all they think of them is slaves. That's right, slaves, pawns in the game. Now, if you don't believe that, check out this clip.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hand. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
Well, there it is. The Democrats' purpose for the illegal immigrants is to pick cotton, pick vegetables, and vote blue no matter who, so they can remain in power. Pretty disgusting, if you ask me. I'll have to do another video on the imbecile that made that comment, but that we will have to save for another day, but it's coming up. I tell you what, if the Democratic Party does not reconnect with the values of the past, and if they allow this split to continue on, they're going to give up power for the next couple of decades. It's going to happen. Mark my words. Something else I'd like to tell you is this. You better like, comment, and subscribe to the Go Political channel, because I've got more shocking footage coming your way, and we're going to talk more about this whole illegal immigration scandal and the psyops that the news media has been running on you to keep you brainwashed and stupid and keeping them in power. That's all I've got for this one. This is Carlton, and I am out.